Hi friends, I'm Elise, and today we're going to talk about all the books that I read in the month of August, as well as some of the books I'll be reading in the month of September. For my wrap-ups the last couple months, I've been doing a Battle of the Books wrap-up, but this time, however, I only read 6 books in the month of August, and I just want to run through them really quickly, let you know what I rated the book and what my overall thoughts were, and then I want to get into setting a TBR for the month of September, because there are 4 readathons that I'm aware of happening in the month of September, and I'm going to try to participate in every single one of them. So real quick, for the month of August, I read 6 books, 2 thrillers, 1 contemporary, 1 historical, 1 fantasy, and 1 horror. My overall star rating for the month was a 4-star. I had 1 2.5 star, 1 3.5 star, a 4-star, 2 4.5 stars, and a 5-star. The first book that I finished in August was for the reading vlog that I did, focusing on books that took place in the wilderness or at a summer camp. For that vlog, I read Small Game by Blair Braverman. This is a thriller focusing on contestants who join a reality show very similar to Survivor. Something goes wrong and all of the crew kind of abandon them, and they're left in the wilderness to survive on their own. Overall, I really liked the atmosphere of this book. I feel like, especially because I was in the wilderness at the time of reading it, I really felt like I was there. And I rated that book 3.5 stars. Next, I read Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. This is a horror taking place in a small religious town in Montana that really supports Camp Damascus, which is the most recommended gay conversion camp in America, but their practices are pretty unethical. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. I liked the writing. I do plan on reading more Chuck Tingle in the future. And honestly, for me, I got out of Chuck Tingle what I had always hoped to get out of Grady Hendrix. The last book that I read for that vlog was The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. This follows Emma, and 15 years ago she was a camper at Camp Nightingale, and one night 3 of her bunkmates disappear without a trace. Because of this, the camp shut down. Well, 15 years later, Emma is a pretty successful artist. She does a lot of paintings that in a way are her therapy of getting over the trauma of what happened to her at Camp Nightingale. And one day, the owner of the camp approaches her saying that she would like to reopen the camp and she wants Emma to come back as a camp counselor. And this one I rated 4.5 stars. Next, I read Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This is a contemporary, and it follows June Hayward, who unfortunately witnesses the death of her friend Athena. June has not been very successful in publishing books. In fact, I think the one book that she has published, it didn't do very well. While her friend Athena, she is definitely more successful. And when Athena unexpectedly dies, June is presented with an opportunity to take a raw, unfinished manuscript of a new book that Athena was working on. She finishes it, polishes it up, and publishes it as her own. She made some very questionable decisions. This book, first of all, I rated this 4.5 stars. I loved this book. I really enjoyed the writing of R.F. Kuang. This is my first book by her. This book says so much about the publishing industry. If you are prevalent in the bookish community and you have not read this one, I highly suggest you do. And the last 2 books that I read in August were for the Back to School Readathon that was hosted by Gwen of Gwendolyn Kensinger, Keisha of A Book Like You, Liv of Liv's Library, and Jessie over at Reading with Jess. Each of the prompts for this readathon had to do with a school subject. The first book, The Last Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This book took care of the lunch prompt, which was to read a book with recipes in it, and social studies, which was to read a book with more than one timeline. This book honestly started out pretty strong for me. I love this time period. It takes place in the present day with Caroline, but then it also takes place in the late 1700s with Nella and Eliza. Nella owns an apothecary that, let's just say, caters to women with difficult husbands, and Eliza joins as somewhat of an apprentice. Like I said, I really did enjoy the beginning of this book. I thought the atmosphere was really well done, but the plot took a nosedive about halfway through and just kept going. By the end, I was irritated with multiple things that had happened, and unfortunately this was just a 2.5 star read for me. And the final book that I read for August, which took care of the math prompt, read a book with a number in the title, as well as the, I think, English prompt, which is to read a book with an academic setting. I read Fourth Wing and I loved it. I loved it. Not quite as good as ACOTAR, but pretty damn close. And hey, it's only book 1. I mean, even ACOMAF was a huge step up from ACOTAR, so Iron Flame could be the next ACOMAF. I don't know. And Xaden, I'm not going to explain what this book is about. I'm sure, unless you've been living under a rock, you've heard of this book, you've heard what it's about. My favorite thing about it was the dragons, obviously. I wanted to see more of the dragons, but there's going to be 4 more books, so I'm sure we'll get there. I am really sad though because I just found out on Rebecca Yaros's TikTok that book number 2 is only going to be sprayed black edges. They're not doing stencils, which I am bummed about. But she said that if they did the stencils, the book would have been pushed to March, and she wanted to get it to us sooner. So I get it, but at the same time, now my editions aren't going to match. Oh, obviously this was 5 stars. Next, let's talk about the 4 readathons going on in the month of September and what I plan to read for them. The first of which is autumnathon, which is actually happening right now. It takes place yesterday, September 1st through tomorrow, September 3rd. So by the time this goes up, unfortunately, it will already have passed. But this readathon is hosted by Rachel over at Happy Go Lovely Sleeves and Jordan over at Bookish Gem. It's just a quick 72-hour readathon with the intent of reading books that give you the fall vibes. For that, I'm reading The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, and I'm actually buddy reading this with Heather over at Books and Heather. This, I believe, is a romance about Florence, who is a ghostwriter or an author who kind of hides away on an island up in Maine. Her family owns a funeral home, and according to the back, it sounds like her father unfortunately passes away, so she has to go home for the funeral. And things happen. I started this last night. I'm about 3 chapters in, and I'm enjoying it so far, but I also feel like I'm not really in it far enough to really have a good grasp of whether or not I'm enjoying it. And the other book I'm reading for the autumnathon is Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney. This one I started reading yesterday. I have the audiobook checked out from my library. Unfortunately, I'm about halfway through. I'm a little more than halfway through. It's not clicking with me, so I'm not really enjoying my read right now. I'm just kind of pushing through to get through it. It starts with a woman who is like walking down the street with her baby in a stroller, and somebody steals the baby. In the present timeline, there's an elderly woman who was forced to stay at a nursing home, and the girl who works there that's kind of befriended her. A couple other women, like one works at a prison and one, I don't know. There's a lot of characters. I'm hoping it gets better. Like I said, I am about halfway, so I've got a little less than half of the book left to go. I do trust that Alice Feeney is going to have a couple really good twists because she is the queen of twists, but as of right now, I'm not fully enjoying my experience. The next readathon is another 72-hour readathon, which is the Sleep When I'm Dead readathon. Jessie over at Reading with Jess, her book club Sleep When I'm Dead is turning 2, and to celebrate that, she is hosting this readathon, and a lot of the previous co-hosts that she's had on her channel are going to come back and do reading sprints throughout this readathon, myself included. I was a co-host earlier this year. There are 3 prompts, the first of which is read a book with your favorite fall color on the cover. The second is read a book that was recommended to you, and the third is to read a past book club pick that you've not yet gotten to. So the fave fall color, I love orange. I like orange and black for Halloween. I like orange and brown for fall. The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson has orange on the cover, so I'll be reading this for that prompt. And the next 2 prompts, a book that was recommended to you as well as a previous book club pick. I'll be reading The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. This book was recommended to me as part of my 12 books from 12 friends recommendations that I did at the beginning of the year over on Bookstagram, and I think one of the first book club picks that Jessie did for her book club. The next readathon is the Losers Club. This one is hosted by Elizabeth of Reading Riley, Beth of Beth's All Booked, and Ashley of Ashley's Little Library. This is, I believe, round 2, and it is in celebration of Stephen King's birthday, which is coming up on September 21st. The dates for this one are September 15th through the 21st. This one, there are a number of prompts or cards that you can collect, and you can do the hard version, which is reading 1 book for each prompt, or the easy version, which allows you to overlap. I'm not currently a resident of Delululand, so I will be doing easy mode. The first card is the King. Read a book influenced by BookTok or BookTube, which I will be doing Bunny by Mona Awad, the influence of which is coming from Katie Coulson. The next card is The Hotel. Read a book with an isolated setting. For that one, I will be doing Piranesi by Susanna Clark. The next card is The Cemetery, a paranormal or supernatural book. For that prompt, I will also be doing The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. The Game, which is the Buddy Read or Buddy Watch. I think they're doing Gerald's Game, so I might watch that movie with them. The Queen, a book with a female main character. For that, I will also be doing Bunny by Mona Awad. And The Clown, a book with a 1-word title. And again, I'll be doing Piranesi. And finally, the Upside Down Readathon. This is round 2, and it is inspired by Stranger Things, hosted by Kendall of Bookphoria, Liv of Liv's Library, Naomi of Naomi's Library, and Jordan of Sorry Book Solid. For this one, I will be doing Liv's Buddy Read, which is inspired by Hopper. I'm a Hopper girly through and through. And the book pick for that one is Whispering Pines by Heidi Lang. This is a book that is described as being being inspired by Stranger Things meets the X-Files, and it's about a girl whose father is abducted, and I don't think anyone really believes her. Everyone just thinks he, you know, disappeared or ran away. Hi, my battery died, so I had to plug it in, let it charge. While I did that, I had lunch. Camera angle may be a little bit different now. Anyways, where were we? I was talking about Whispering Pines, which is the buddy read for, well, Liv's buddy read for the Upside Down Readathon. The other prompts are, the prompt for season 1 is Eggos, so read a book with food on the cover, and for that one I will be doing Cackle by Rachel Harrison. There is tea or coffee on the cover here. This is a witchy read. I don't know a whole lot about it. I kind of want to go into it a little bit blind, but I have heard that it's really good, and I've heard that there's a very sweet spider in this, which is so wholesome, so I'm looking forward to this one. The season 2 prompt is Trick or Treat Freak. Read a book that takes place during fall or Halloween, and for that one I'm going to be doubling up with Bunny by Mona Awad. That one, I skimmed the first chapter and I saw that it was talking about September, so I'm assuming it starts right at the beginning of the school year. The season 3 prompt is Battle of Starcourt Mall. Read a book with nostalgic vibes. For this one, I'll be doubling up on The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I love the movie that is based off of this book, The Haunting, with Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Owen Wilson, and I grew up watching that with my mom, so definitely nostalgic feelings there. The final prompt, which is for season 4, Vecna. Read a book with a haunted house. Again, doubling up on The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. So here's my TBR stack for the readathons that are going on in the month of September, except for Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney and Whispering Pines by Heidi Lang. Let me know if I missed any readathons going on in September. I cannot promise that I will participate, but I will do my best. And if you are participating in any of the readathons that I mentioned, let me know what you're reading for some of the prompts. Thank you so much for joining me today, and until next time, bye!